Good day everyone, it's Leo Chase from Mythmaster here to welcome you to the grand finale of my 3-part MCU pitch series, which started with my Young Avengers pitch, leading directly into Doctor Strange Time Runs Out, which itself led directly into the first 2 parts of this pitch, and I'd heavily recommend watching all of those, so you can fully understand what is happening here. I guess my 2-part Thunderbolts pitch is also kind of important, but all you need to know from that is that Yelena joined the Avengers in a post-credit scene. As a quick explanation of what's going on, Doctor Doom of 838 is holding Doctor Strange and Monica Rambeau of Earth 616 hostage, while his minions, various heroes and villains from 838, are bringing the 3 multiversal entities of Scarlet Witch, Franklin Richards, and Phoenix to Doom to help him save the dying multiverse, which has been collapsing, and we're down to 4 universes, which are 616, 838, 404 and 1005, and all of those Earths are sharing the same airspace. It's up to the Avengers, Fantastic Four, Young Avengers, and also Deadpool and Wolverine to stop Doom's seemingly evil machinations. Well, I won't say how this ends here. I will tell you at the end of this video how I plan to continue doing Marvel pitches after what happens in this. A like, subscribe, and comment would be very helpful to show your support and help me improve, but whatever the case, I hope you enjoy this video. We would start at, of all places, a supermarket. Peter Quill would be doing some shopping, loading various sugary cereals into a cart, when the ground would rumble. He'd run outside, leaving the cart inside, to see 3 other Earths floating in the sky. Rushing home, he would rummage through some old boxes, and pull out his mask, guns, and boots, which he would slip on before flying up into the sky. This will be the only part of Part 3 not set in 838. Next, we'll see the 838 Baxter Foundation and go inside it to see a large room containing a multiversal travel device called the Bridge, which would spark and turn on as the Fantastic Four arrive through it. This universe must have a read of its own. The gate is nearly identical to my own. By the way, in the past video I mistakenly called the F4's multiversal travel machine the gate instead of the bridge, so I've just decided that Pedro Pascal read called his the gate in his timeline, but from now on I'll refer to it as the bridge. But if there is, he's probably evil, as that beast knew how to activate your device. Either he made this, or was told by alternate you. I just hope we're not too late for Frankie. Quiet, I hear people. You stay here, I'll go and check it out. Be careful, my love. Sue would turn invisible and sneak towards the sounds of commotion to see an open-roofed room with a helicopter parked in the middle, and a large crowd of people who would be familiar to the audience. As well as some Doombots, there would be 838 Beast, Scorpion, Mystique, Black Widow, and alternate universe Invisible Woman. Purple Man would also be there with a bandage wrapped around his head. I'm not sure if there'd be any dialogue about it, but the green and silver wristbands that I mentioned last time would have been used, basically Beast would have used them to teleport his allies and the entities with them back to the 838 universe if they couldn't get back there themselves. There would also be 3 floating pods containing the unconscious forms of the entities, Franklin Richards, Wanda Maximoff, and Jean Grey, which would be being loaded into the helicopter. Before Susan could go and tell the rest of the Fantastic Four what she had seen or could act on it, the walls would crash down, and the 616 and 1005 heroes would bust in. I won't go into detail on who they are, but if you've watched the other parts, you should know and you'll probably pick it up. A large-scale fight would begin, and hearing the commotion, the rest of the Fantastic Four would come and join in. Unfortunately, not knowing who the bad guys are, some of the heroes would fight each other. For example, Captain America and Human Torch might have an aerial fight. Beast would have climbed into the helicopter cockpit and started to get it working, which Wiccan would see and start to mutter, I need the helicopter to malfunction, I need the helicopter to malfunction, only to be super speed punched by his brother Tommy, who would have glowing purple eyes. The helicopter would fly off with Beast, the entities, and some of the Doombots. Ben Grimm would be fighting She-Hulk. What have you done with Frankie? Frankie? Wait, you're not with Doom, are you? Of course not. Emily Blunt's Invisible Woman would have heard this while taking down Miss Marvel with a force field wave, before turning and seeing her next attacker, Reed Richards. 838 Sue Storm would look around, see the heroes fighting each other, see Purple Man enjoying pupsing a teenager, see Human Torch get kicked in the face by Spider-Man, see Black Widow battling Yelena, and she'd thrust out her hands and imprison everybody in their own personal bubble. She would then ask her 404 counterpart, Doom took your son? Yes. And then she'd turn to She-Hulk. He took a friend of yours. Wiccan would speak up. He took my mum. And he took an alternate version of my hairy friend's crush. What are you doing, lady? Natasha, Raven, we shouldn't be doing this. I think it's too late to stop. The witch may have killed our friends, our family, but that doesn't mean we should take revenge. A door would creak open. Out would step a figure in a blue costume, with stitched together lines, and a horribly scarred face, the top of which is obscured in a large conical helmet. Death isn't the end, you know. 838 Sue would gasp. Reed? Hello, Susan. Behind him would be the ghost of Mordo. Doom has killed me, but I have managed to set up an afterimage, so to speak, but it won't last that long. After the Scarlet Witch murdered the rest of the Illuminati, driven by the corruption of the Darkhold, which she sacrificed her life to destroy, I tried to use the Time Stone to resurrect my fallen allies. Wanda's magic was too strong, and the best that I could achieve was with Reed. His mind was altered. I see things in a new light, if that's what you mean. Doom took the other bodies, but I managed to hide Reed from him. I know not what he has done with them. 838 Susan would release all of the heroes, who would stop fighting. Scorpion and Purple Man would begin to run off, but Spider-Man would web Scorpion up, and Kate Bishop would send a taser arrow at Purple Man to knock him out. I know what we need to do. The Maker would be just about to speak when a figure would fly down and kind of crash land in front of him. The figure would get to his feet and point his guns around. It would be Peter Quill. Star-Lord? Spider-Man would exclaim. What are you doing here? Star-Lord would open his helmet and scratch his chin. Oh, hey, Spider-Man. I saw the planets in the sky and flew here to see what's happening. I could tell a battle was happening here, so I came to investigate. The battle's over now. The man behind you was just about to tell us his plan to save the multiverse. The Maker would make an ahem noise, and Peter Quill would move out of his way and go and stand by the Avengers. You have all pitifully allowed Doom to get exactly what he needs to reshape reality, and what I suggest is that the majority of you go and try and stop him. The majority of us? Yes. Myself, the other Reed, and anyone else who thinks we might be useful at building a shuttle will stay here to try and build a life raft to save whoever we can, if Doom's plan succeeds. I own the spaceship, and I know a lot about quantum technology. You really do put quantum in front of everything. I'll say here too. I don't have much technological experience, but I'm sure I can be useful still. I could say as well, no, 5 people is enough. I have many materials in my hidden laboratory, and already have a half-complete prototype. How are we supposed to get to Doom? Mordo, who is slowly fading, would say to Clea, I will impart the coordinates of Doom's castle at Doomsday to you. You need to rescue Strange and the entities, but the most important part of Doom's plan is, he would disappear. Great, he didn't get to finish his sentence. Doom also has a prisoner called Monica Rambeau. She was found by the Illuminati some time ago, and was what prompted Christine Palmer's multiversal division of the Baxter Foundation. I believe she's from the same universe as your Doctor Strange. Wait, Monica's alive? Her powers would make her an excellent energy conduit. Son of a Scarlet Witch? Billy and Tommy would both say, yes? The magical one. You have a teleportation spell, correct? Yes. I would ask that you and Miss Chavez assist me in opening a portal. My sword can open rifts, but not ones anywhere near big enough for this amount of people. While this was going on, the people would be working on the life raft, would follow the Maker back down the stairs that he had came out of. Basically, Clea would open a rift with her sword, Billy would blast it with magic, and America Chavez would punch it. It would grow and envelop all of the heroes, who would find themselves in a courtyard of a grand castle, nearly identical to the one from my Young Avengers movie, though the heroes would be inside of the magical defences. While it would have been evening at the Baxter Foundation, the sun would be starting to rise in Latveria. How is it so late here, even accounting for time zones? We may have gotten past Doom's magical defences, but they were strong enough to cause some time dilation. The entities will probably be here already, and I would be surprised if Doom is not aware of our presence. I think I know where Doom will be. He would point at a large set of wooden doors. I'm sensing a large amount of magic in the great hall beyond those doors. Turning to his friends, he would say that's where they fought Doom in their time. Before anyone could do anything, doors all around the courtyard would open, and out would march an enormous army of Doombots. And not just them. In front of each group would be one of the fallen Illuminati members, Maria Rambeau, Professor X, Black Bolt, Mordo, and Captain Carter, but horribly scarred and zombie-like. They would be fitted with Doom tech that seems to be keeping them alive. Oh my, Peggy. What are those? Those other people that we worked with, doomed to avenge, the heroes murdered by your Scarlet Witch, like your Reed. That ghost guy did say Doom took the bodies. Guess he managed to bring them back. Parts of them, at least, kid. And that ghost guy is standing right there with him. Our objective is to find Doom and stop him. A voice would echo around the courtyard. You need not find me nor stop me. Despite your beliefs, I am saving the multiverse. Something that none of you could hope to do. And as for finding me, the air in front of the large doors would crackle with green lightning, and Doom would appear with his arms crossed in front of him. I am right here. That is not possible. He must be conducting the ritual. I can sense that it is beginning as we speak. He looks pretty real to me. He's the only one who smells alive. Wiccan, Clea, you two stop their magic users. Rock Guy, She-Hulk, Torch, get those doors open. Speed, try to distract the heavy hitters, and I'll try to give you all some air support. The rest of you just try to keep everyone alive. Doom would make a striking motion with his hand, and the army would attack. Sam would raise his voice and yell, Avengers, assemble! Miss Marvel would look at him glassy-eyed, with a giant grin on her face, before whispering, I'm an Avenger. If I had to compare it to an existing battle, I'd say that this fight would be similar to either the Age of Ultron final fight or the airport battle in Civil War. We'd have at least one super speed scene with Speed dashing around, punching Doombots and saving people, before maybe being knocked off his feet by a blast from Maria Rambeau. Hawkeye and Yelena would team up and do some moves together. Wiccan would have a magic battle with Mordor at one point, and then Professor X would take control of the mind of someone else, such as Clea, and start fighting him, leading to more Young Avengers coming to help him. She-Hulk and Thing would be smashing away at the door while throwing off some attacking Doombots and being covered by Captain America and Spider-Man, while Johnny would be hovering somewhere above Ben and sending a constant stream of fire towards the door where Ben is attacking. Doom would blast a Mystique who attacked him in the form of Captain Carter with an electrical strike that returned her to her natural form, before extending an arm to send Wolverine flying into the air. Spider-Man would see this and swing to catch Wolverine, before swinging down and kicking Doctor Doom in the face. Doom's mask would be knocked off, but with his face turned away from the camera, he would grab Spider-Man's neck with an iron gauntlet, before turning back to Peter revealing Tony Stark. Well, Tony Stark's face. This Doom, as hinted at before, is an Iron Man variant, or... oh, it's my cat. Or maybe Iron Man is a Doctor Doom variant, take your pick. Spider-Man would gasp as he struggled, his hands scrabbling to free himself from Victor Von Doom's grasp. Victor would look just like 616 Tony, but with a scar on one cheek, and his expression would be stern and angry. Peter would wheeze, Mr. Stark? You shouldn't have interfered. And there would be a crack as he snapped Spider-Man's neck. I am done with all of you. Doom would turn to where Johnny and Thing are trying to break down the door, and magic symbols would appear and twist in front of his palms, as he raises them and sends two giant beams of magic at the Fantastic Four members. The beams would be blocked by a force field, and Doom would turn to see a straining Emily Blunt's Invisible Woman standing a few meters away, eyes flitting between Doom and her force field. Quick as a flash, Doom would turn his hand so that the beams cut through Sue's midriff, and she falls to the ground, cleaved in two. 404 Sue Storm would see this and scream with anger, turning on Doom and sending endless waves of force fields towards him, which would catch him off guard and send him skidding backwards, trying to block them. With a final scream of rage, Invisible Woman would send a massive force field wave that would carve through a battalion of Doombots, and while Doom would raise a magical bubble of his own to protect himself, the force would smash through the weakened giant doors and reveal the scene inside the room. The three entities are floating upright in the air in bubbles of magic, unconscious with their eyes and mouths open, and streams of energy coming out of these. For Jean, it's Phoenix Fire. For Wanda, it's Chaos Magic. For Franklin, it's Blue Energy. These energies are snaking through the force fields and towards another figure floating in the air in her own magic casing, Monica Rambeau. Unlike the others, she is conscious, but is twitching uncontrollably with her eyes glowing white. The energies are going into her chest, and the air around her is cracking and peeling away slightly as a vortex to the multiverse is opened. Think at the end of Spider-Man No Way Home, or even when America Chavez and Doctor Strange are crashing through universes in Multiverse of Madness. Trails of magic are binding the figures in the air, and forming a path for the entity's energies to follow. Whose magic, you may ask? Stephen, Clea would gasp. In the center of the room, conducting the ritual, Doctor Strange floats cross-legged, face set in concentration, but with an edge of sadness. "It has to be done," he would say. Cut to the Baxter Foundation. The camera would start above the building but trail down and go down the stairs that the Maker came up, and into a gigantic underground lab, a bit like a garage with various projects covered by giant white sheets. The camera would then focus on a large metal vehicle that looks a bit like a spaceship. Think maybe the mining pods from the Guardians of the Galaxy, but much bigger, or a kind of small submarine, for example, which is hanging from the ceiling by various chains and has various step ladders around it. Sparks are flying, as the heroes that stayed behind are working on it. Mr. Fantastic is wearing welding goggles, and both him and the Maker are using their stretching powers to great effect. Kate Bishop is sitting on top, her legs dangling off the side, as Cassie hands a tool to Mr. Fantastic, and Star-Lord is underneath, fiddling with something on the underside of the ship. "What I want to know, Reed, I prefer to go by the Maker. What I want to know," he grits his teeth, "Maker, is why you have a machine like this. What did you call it? The life raft. The life raft lying around. You have a gate. You mean a bridge. Whatever you call it, you must have already had a prototype multiversal machine before you decided to build this. Having this suggests you were prepared for the universe to end. I know about the incursions. This universe has already been involved in some, and we managed to come out unscathed. But I knew that eventually we would run out of tricks. I had a greater plan, to build a flying city that would survive in a void, but even the Baxter Foundation did not have enough resources. So if the world starts to end, are we going to pick up friends and family and, I guess, hope we don't get exploded? By the time the universe starts to unravel, there'd not be enough time to rescue any bystanders. What about my dad? He's got no idea that any of this is happening, and I'm sure he could help us with this. Do you have anything that I could use to go and get him? No, our priority is to get the life raft operational. We cannot allow for any distractions. When this is ready, we will collect our most powerful friends, family members, and allies from our respective worlds, but we cannot risk going to help the others and having the machine destroyed. It is our last hope. An alarm would blare, and Star-Lord would bang his head before peeking out from underneath the machine. What is that? The multiverse is beginning to destabilize. We must be quick. Cut back to Doomsday. But why? This is the only way. If Doom and I can unlock a power from beyond our realities, we might be able to save what's left. But at what cost? You could end up obliterating everything. We have some of the greatest minds in the multiverse working on a solution as we speak. Why do you have to risk it all? This is not the first time that the multiverse has been destroyed, and nor will it be the last. But this ritual can allow us to shape the new reality and create a perfect world. You're talking as if this was all natural. We traveled together to save universes, and now you are willing to destroy them for the chance at a new life. I am sorry, but I cannot allow this, Stephen. Cleo would draw her blade and lunge at the stream of energy coming out from Franklin, the nearest entity to her. Stephen would thrust out one hand and send out a magic whip that would wrap around Clear's sword and yank it from her hands. The disruption to the ritual, however, would cause the magic force field surrounding Monica and the entities to flicker and disappear, as Stephen is no longer being able to fully concentrate on the spell. Miss Marvel would notice this, and while Clea and Stephen engaged in a magic battle, with Stephen being limited to the use of one hand, but still faring very well, she would embiggen like at the end of her show, and reach out a light construct hand towards Monica. Before she could reach her, a beam of golden energy would shatter the arm, as zombie Maria Rambo flies down to attack Kamala Khan, and starts to engage in a battle with her. Cut to outside. Hawkeye and Yelena are still taking down Doombots together when, boosted by her jetpack, zombie Captain Carter leaps forward and starts to duel them, and despite it being a 2v1, she has the major upside of being technologically advanced and having super soldier serum. Hawkeye is too close to use his arrows, so flicks his bow into staff mode, but it doesn't exactly do much against the vibranium shield, and shatters after a couple of swings. Sustained by Doomtech, Captain Carter's barely affected by the Widow's bites or electricity from Yelena's batons. Black Widow would roundhouse kick a Doombot's head off before turning and seeing this fight. She would run towards her alternate universe sister and best friend, and the tide would begin to turn in their favor. It would end when, distracted by the two widows, Captain Carter fails to notice that Hawkeye has had time to draw an explosive arrow from his quiver, trigger it, and jam it into her back before leaping away. Natasha would grab Peggy's shield as the zombie is confused and trying to look down at the arrow, and Black Widow would use it to shield herself and Yelena from the explosion. Natasha would smile at Yelena, only for the three heroes, Natasha, Yelena, and Clint, to get disintegrated as Black Bolt, whose mouth is wholly disfigured and scarred. Think Deadpool at the end of, in the post-credit scene of X-Men Origins Wolverine, as Black Bolt whispers, "Doom." Black Bolt would then get decapitated by Deadpool, speak of a devil, who would then be crushed as She-Hulk is blasted back onto him. This would lead to a Doom aura shot very similar to Thanos' walk to Wanda and Vision in Infinity War. Heroes come to attack him, but he blasts them away, or slingering portals them elsewhere or something. He would enter the hall where Steven is barely holding the ritual together, though the cracks in reality are getting wider and wider while he battles Clea, whom Doom dispatches easily with a nanotech blade through the chest. Steven's eyes would widen with shock as Clea's body fell to the ground, but he would not say anything. Now to business. Doom would rise into the air and join the ritual, and the white energies would immediately turn green as reality finally shatters, revealing a pathway to where Loki sits at the center of reality. The god's eyes would be open, and he'd be struggling to hold the last four strands of a tree together while they whipped through the air, slamming into each other, while green fragments, the remains of the other universes, floated in the air all around them. The air around the portal would begin to spaghettify, including people such as Miss Marvel and Maria Rambeau. The entities' bodies would fade away, leaving their energy swirling in the air, and Monica's body would go limp just outside the portal. Doom and Steven would stand on the 838 side of the portal, as everything around them turns into spaghetti. We would cut to the backs of the Foundation, where the alarm is blaring louder than ever, and Reed is beckoning everyone onto the life raft. Star-Lord is in the cockpit, flicking various switches, while Kate pulls Cassie aboard, and the Maker types furiously into some computers. Back at Doomstat, Doom would step through the hole in reality, but Strange would hesitate as he looks up at Loki, and down at the bodies of Monica and Clea. In this moment of hesitation, Strange would be spaghettified and the portal would close. Strands of red magic, blue light, and orange phoenix fire all hang in the air, and Doom draws them all into himself as he forces himself along the same path that Loki took at the end of his second season. When closer to Loki, and with the pure multiversal energy whipping at him, Doom would let off a blast of red magic, blue light, orange phoenix fire, and green energy, which would cause Loki and the last four branches to explode into glowing green fragments. Everyone and everything would be turned to spaghetti in one fell swoop, like in Loki Season 2, and the green fragments and the citadel at the end of time would implode, leaving a glowing, spinning emerald sphere with the light dimming to reveal a planet, and the camera all of a sudden zooming in to see God Emperor Doom on his throne. I hope you have enjoyed this video and this series. I at least really enjoyed making it. When I first made my Young Avengers film pitch, I had no idea that it'd branch out into this. I will not be making a Secret Wars pitch, as I doubt that I could do it justice, and really hope that the MCU gets Doomsday and Secret Wars done right. This doesn't mean that I will stop making Marvel movie pitches though. I have planned out the start of my own Marvel film universe, and at some point in the future, hopefully fairly soon, we'll be making a separate channel where I post videos about that. Unlike this series, I won't be going over what would happen in each scene, more just what would happen in each movie. In my first video on it, I'll probably explain my overall plan, as well as pitching a Spider-Man trilogy, and saying where they would go in the timeline of movie releases, with my second video being how I would make a Fantastic Four trilogy, in a world where Marvel had all of their rights to all of their characters. Basically though, I won't be saying which actors I'd use or anything. If you would enjoy that, please tell me so in the comments, and maybe like and subscribe while you're down there. Thank you so much for getting this far. Have a good day, and ta-ta.